you say hello and
Well, hey, it's Friday.
it
Welcome to the Friday Grief Chat.
hi, I'm Deb,
I'm Jill.
and
And
let's talk about being unalive and unalive benefits. Uh
right, and we welcome you here. If you're listening afterward, we do have a podcast. I have put the Spotify link in the show notes, but you can find it in a variety of places. If you click on the one in the chat, then you can find where to find the podcast elsewhere. We're also always on our Facebook page, Humor, Grace, and Grief.
I know. Yes.
Why are we using unalive, Deb? What is that word?
I unalive, well, the opposite of unalive would be live, and that would mean you're alive, you got a heartbeat. Dead means unalive. And why did I even bring it up? I thought it was so interesting that a lot of people, in order to change the algorithm in Facebook, they have been using the word unalive. What other euphemism is there? Creative euphemism. I mean, like besides pushing up daisies or 6 feet
The
below.
traditional passed away or 6 feet under or on the other side.
Uh
How
huh.
many ways can we say someone has died without saying they've died? And why do we want to do that?
And why would we want to do that? Well, I don't like, I'm just like trying to get people to use the word dead or died instead of euphemisms. However, if it gets us more people to pay attention, I guess, to what we're doing, I mean, that's not why Jill and I are doing this.
But we'd
However,
like to have lots of people in the conversation. And we'd
yeah,
love it if you'd share this. If
yeah.
you knew it was Friday and you see our announcement, share, share, share. We'd love to have you here. We'd love to have you share. We'd love to have you rate us on all of the podcast sites. And
Oh,
we'd love to
please.
have you write some comments.
Oh, yeah. Please, please. And it's just, I think the best euphemisms in a group goes to Robin Williams in Patch Adams for he's talking to somebody. I forget the character, and some man who is dying, who doesn't want to talk about dying. And Robin Williams, he's one giant run-on sentence without the word and he uses like 15 euphemisms for dying. So I don't even remember what they all are, but it's
There's
a
tons of
very
them.
funny scene. So if you ever want to poke fun at dying or dead or unalive or
On
whatever,
the other side,
on the other side, I say that to our person who runs Facebook for our church every
mhm,
Sunday. And whenever I hang up the phone, I always call her on my way to church. And then when I get to church and I'm done talking, I go, see you on the other side. So when I make announcements, I always go, hi, Ann, see you on the other side.
oh, we
And
forgot Go to the Light. Oh
oh, go
my
to
gosh,
the
that's one of
light.
the favorites.
Wait, now you got
Wait,
me looking this up.
now let me just share with it because we're all about the humor. So when
Yes.
I had surgery the last time, my wife Stacy, who, as you most of you know, is a mortician, um, called in to pre-op. I'm not sure how she got through all the Kaiser barriers, but she managed to make it to the phone at the nurse's station in pre-op. And she managed to get them to pass the phone into the OR as I was being pushed into OR. And when I got in there, the anesthesiologist looked at me and he said, your wife called, Jill. And she said to tell you when you look at the light over the table, I am to keep you here.
Oh,
He said, I've never had a call. Twice married to a funeral director on the phone before surgery. Don't go to
Oh
the light.
my
Look at the light.
God.
Right?
Yeah, that's great. No one said that to me. I
We don't want
may
any
have.
freezing. It's either Deb or Jill.
You're freezing, so it might. Who knows?
It
The
might
weather
be
here.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I
weather here
apologize.
the weather here is horrible. So
You're in
I
unalive weather.
we I I don't know exactly what the wind chill factor is, but right now it's I'm sorry, we're a balmy 13 degrees. I thought we were -1, but
13 degrees is not that's not even a thing. That's not a thing.
Oh, that it is. It is.
That can't be legal.
Unfortunately, it is. Euphemisms for dead. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Oh,
Heather says, I heard Go to the Light in an episode of Twin Peaks. Cooper was guiding Leland Palmer when he was dying. Yep.
oh,
Go to the light. Go me. I used to say in hospice, are your people here? And they would enjoy that. They would be like, yeah, my people are here. And then when we were at Steve says reception sucks. I'm trying to get to a different internet. So let
okay.
me see what I can do. I've just switched servers.
Well, while you're doing that, here's for dead, not dying. In England, it's left us, no longer with us, and gone, pushing up daisies. How about this one? Snuffed out, gone to heaven. Oh, there's 11 more rows. These are from the UK. Eh,
We're back. I've switched to my Verizon mobile.
Oh, good.
That works better. Yeah, we got more. Pushing up daisies is what the doctor told Linda when he said it was time for hospice. Over the bridge, LinkedIn user, like it.
Yes.
Okay.
Popped their clogs. This is a Northern Ireland one. Popped their clogs or his clogs.
Popped their clogs.
I've never heard that one.
I like it.
There's the big sleep. Here's another one. Now, let's go someplace else where there's not so many cookies. What can I say instead of died? Deceased. Yes.
Yeah, nobody wants deceased. Nobody at all.
It's boring.
And it sounds like dead. Because why do we use euphemisms? Not only because of the algorithms in various social media, and there is lots of algorithm stuff if you don't do social media professionally, but we also use it because people aren't comfortable with dying. El Salvador uses expired, right?
How about this one? They ceased living.
That's it. Marnie Hess says, some people are taken aback when I don't use any euphemisms. He's just dead. Thanks for that, Deb. And Steve Altman says, sleeping with the fishes. Yeah, that's the Navy for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's down in Davy Jones' locker. How about, here, they were called back to God. I don't like that one because that really, if the person who is closest to the person who died wants to say they were called back to God. But it's like when people have a child that dies and then someone says, oh, God needed another angel. And you're like, why are you saying that?
Don't say that to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Colleen says, I like transition to crossover, but that's because I believe our spirit does not die. I will say that when I saw Teresa Caputo last weekend, she has an absolutely undeniable belief in heaven as a concept and that people cross over and spirits don't die. And she does explain that her construct comes from her belief systems. So when she sees someone has a religious tradition, she always sees a mass, even though they may not be Catholic. That's the way her construct is for telling
Mhm.
her that that's a belief system. Heather Kinnan says, U.S. Navy, if someone dies on a ship, they're on eternal patrol. Did you know that every year on Christmas Eve that the Navy sends out Merry Christmas Eve wishes to every sailor lost on a submarine who's never been recovered?
No, I did not know that.
I just learned that a couple weeks ago.
They
But yeah,
actually,
they send out a message by Morse code, and they send it out to all who are on eternal patrol, and they send it out to the submarine fleet. So, because as long as someone's
wow,
not been recovered, they're considered to still be out at sea. And so they send them a Christmas
wow,
Eve wish. Yes.
wow. That's interesting. I wonder if they ever get something back that says, uh, "Hey, I'm Jewish. Can I have a happy Hanukkah?" Or
Right. And
or
uh-huh.
Ramadan, like yeah.
And Heather notes that her uncle died on a sub in World War II. So she would, of course, connect with that.
Yes.
So
How about
we've
this
got
one?
lots of ways we can say people can have left this world. What else?
How about they've passed beyond the veil?
That's an old school one, but yeah.
Yeah.
And
And also,
don't say that to a child if they're at an open casket and they've put that piece of lace over it. Right?
yeah,
Because, sometimes they put the lace over it and then put a pink light so that people look a little better, as long as you don't get too close.
that's a mortician thing. I did not know that.
It's an old trick to keep. It's done in the South a lot when someone needs to not
Ooh,
look quite so tough in their casket. But you don't want to say someone's beyond the veil and then have a veil up, because then a kid's going to go
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
look under the veil, right?
I would. How about this
Yeah.
one? They went west. I've never heard this. It says this phrase started to appear in World War One and perhaps was an allusion to the sun disappearing in the west.
Wow, they've joined the sunset. Hang the tennis shoes.
What?
Edith Kanya says that. It's
Oh,
hanged the tennis
Edith.
shoes.
Hi, Edith.
I
Hang the
like that.
tennis shoes.
Although now it's going to have to be hang the Crocs.
Ha. Yeah. Well, maybe you hang both. I don't know.
Right?
Oh, and I wonder if Edith is joining us from El Salvador.
Yes, she is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Welcome, El Salvador. It's nice
Yeah.
to have you.
Hi, Edith. Oh my gosh. Oh, how about this one? They met their maker. I've heard that.
And we hope that
Oh,
the maker was glad to see them.
yeah. How about there, as in they are bereft of life? Maybe that's where,
That's Victorian.
yeah.
That's from Victorian England. Yes.
And then, oh, I've heard this a long time ago, and this one appears in Hamlet. They shuffled off this mortal coil.
I always wondered what the coil was.
Um, it
How do
doesn't
we have a
say.
coil? I mean, I know that I'm told that I jump around a lot, and I'm like, the Energizer Bunny sometimes, but I don't think I have a coil. Do you have a coil, Deb?
Oh, I like this one. Gave up the ghost.
I'm taking my ghost with me. Steve Altman says walked over the Rainbow Bridge. That's for our babies, isn't it?
Our babies. Oh, it's under funny, flippant, or cruel euphemisms. They're
Ooh,
they're taking a dirt nap.
that is something that I've heard more than I can count working with hospice, but
Yeah,
only in the background and only with hospice staff,
yeah.
unless the family says it.
How about their worm food? I think Robin Williams said that.
Robin
burned
Williams
through.
did say that. Mhm.
They ate it.
I associate that with skateboards more than
They ended their earthly career.
okay.
They took their final curtain call.
There's theater checking in.
The theaters, yeah. Oh,
They wrote their last progress note.
Oh, they took their final bow once again.
Okay.
After. How about their toes up?
Oh yeah, because you're supposed to be buried face up.
Yeah, their belly up. And that's because fish tend to float with their stomachs up when they die. Oh, and how about they're a stiff?
There
Yeah.
you go.
How about they kicked the bucket? No one's sure
That's
where the
old school.
Yeah, no one's sure where this phrase came from, but we do know it's inspired the bucket list, or things one does before they die. I don't have a bucket list. I have a boutique list. Things I want to wear before I die.
A curated boutique list.
Yes. Yes.
There you go. Yep.
Oh, they bought the farm.
That's common.
But it says, but this 20th century phrase was first used by jet pilots in the US military. Interesting.
They bought the farm?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Is that because they crashed into farms
I
while they were training? Which actually happened to one of Stacy's aunt's fiancés.
Oh, well, maybe possibly a burial plot.
Maybe. And Steve reminds us 6 Feet Under. We've had shows named that, have we not? And we didn't even come up with that one.
Show. Very good. They came to a sticky end.
I don't even want to think about that one.
Yeah. Rotting in Hell, Davy Jones locked. Oh, here is an Australian phrase. I've never heard this. They went bung. B-U-N-G.
They went bung.
Bung. Or whatever.
I'm going to have to ask my Australian friends.
And
Methodist transition. The Methodist tradition entered the church triumphant.
Ooh, I like that, Heather. How about they're crossing the river Styx? Now that makes sense. Yeah.
That's Egypt. And Stephen says croaked. Now, why are we using all of these? Why are we so uncomfortable with saying that someone's died? What is it about? We don't want to talk about this, and we need to come up with euphemisms so that we don't have to actually say that someone has died. They are dead, and we need to say goodbye. Why are we all the euphemisms? It's that step away from, right?
You know, and just think about one of the first nursery rhymes you sing or dance to. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. And that had to do with the plague. Now,
yes,
you want to call it gross, but we teach that in the very beginning.
And that is something that they taught kids to be able to normalize dying.
Isn't that interesting?
But we've taken it so far away from dying, it's just a song.
Right.
And,
you know, that would be actually a fun and historical talk to do sometime. The euphemisms of dying, a history of, you know what I mean?
It's to add a little sense of humor to the actual event. And there does need to be humor. Even if someone has died a very rapid death or an unexpected death, you will find that after all the emotion has been released, there's got to be some humor at that moment to be able to, take that cleansing breath and be able to say, okay, this part's done. Not the grief.
No.
But the dying is done. And the anticipating the dying is done. And now we can go, all right, now we can take that breath. Now we can figure out where we go from here.
Exactly. And you do that. Someone was asking about therapeutic humor in one of the chats, and there's therapeutic humor and there's using humor therapeutically. And
Mhm.
what I want to say is you to use it therapeutically or therapeutic humor. In both cases, it helps to get to that breath. And in that moment of breath, one sort of cleanses their mental palate, has the opportunity to cleanse their mental palate, and if just
Mhm.
for a second get to see something a little bit different. And, when you and I started this back in 2020, oh my gosh, 4 years of this, Anderson Cooper can't even say that.
No, he can't.
No, but when you and I started this, it was all about helping others, one, with suggestions on how to do funerals during COVID, et cetera, et cetera. Two, how to process some of that grief. And the humor part just gives you a breath, a
It gives you
sense
a
of
breath. Gives you a brain reset.
it does. It
Right?
does.
And
And
Deb and I do strongly believe in humor. We belong to AATH, American Association of Therapeutic Humor.
wait, the
We belong to
association,
all the other. Uh-huh.
it's not the American
Oh,
anymore.
sorry.
It is the Association
Association for
of
Applied
Applied and Therapeutic
Therapeutic
Humor.
Humor. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We just really believe, and we know from research that it's true, that if you are dealing with grief, you've got to have some humor interjected in there.
And
And you
and
got to give yourself a little grace to cope with it because grief is hard,
grief
right?
is so hard. And Susan Walker Hall is on and says humor is how I'm surviving. And our hearts go out to you, Susan. And
They do.
you survive one breath at a time, and every breath is a reset, the possibility for a reset.
If
And
you ever want to see humor in action with grief, it's at a thing like the Teresa Caputo thing. Every person in that room brought a loss with them, and many people brought multiple losses with them.
mhm,
And as they're coming in to sit down, it's kind of quiet. People have drinks. They're in their little group or they're solo. And then they start to share, why are you here? Why are you here? What
mhm,
who did you lose? And first the tears and then the laughter. And it happens automatically. Everyone sharing without her on the stage. It's just people talking who've never met each other and never going to see each other again. But they connect and then they need to laugh about their response to the loss. How did
mhm.
they find out about it? And they will talk about what made them laugh in the middle of all the craziness,
Right,
right?
right. Yep, yep. Um, I just told the story again as someone was saying, oh, it's so hard when you're settling someone's estate. And oh, yes, Chuckles the Clown. Um, a little something, a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer down your pants. I think that's what that little thing is that she's talking about. But I just shared about how I was so frustrated that AARP kept sending my mom stuff, and I had canceled a million times. And finally, I said, fine, I give up. And the return card, I wrote my mother's name. This was to keep her subscription going. I wrote her name. I wrote the address of the cemetery. I wrote her plot number as her apartment. And all I can imagine to give myself a laugh was that magazines were piling up next to my mother. I mean, I don't know. They don't, it's a Jewish cemetery. They won't deliver on Saturday. And
Susan
so,
likes that.
and then one day in the middle of a talk, 10 years, 15 years later, and I'm telling the AARP story as a way of laughing. And,
Yes.
and everybody's laughing, but I'm hearing two women giggle a lot in this sea of 100 people. And then I go, excuse me, I want to know why you two are giggling. Come on up here. And they said, once they got to the front of the room and they faced the room, we're from AARP. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That group is relentless. My mom gets mail from them every 3 days, and I've sent it back, marked deceased.
Yeah. One
And
day,
it just keeps coming.
one day you have my permission to write wherever your mom is. Yes.
I've taken to calling the life insurance companies who continue to send guaranteed life insurance policies to my late wives, to my mom, to my dad. And I'm like, so if I sign up for this for them and it's guaranteed and I pay 1 month and then I submit their death certificate, do I get paid? Is that how this works? And they're like, no, they have to. I said, you said it's guaranteed. And I manage the estate. So can I just like file a claim right away? Is that how that works? Because yeah, 10K would be handy. Oh my gosh.
I know.
But Heather says a real estate solicitor sent me a phishing letter offering to help me sell the address where he died. It was the hospital in Mission Viejo. I almost called.
Oh my goodness. And to our listening audience for later, because people are already sending, pictures of laughing faces. This is what, and this is how you laugh about something, maybe not in the moment, but as you reflect back, you have these memories. And all I can say is, even if the person who died was not very funny, circumstances around them can be funny.
Yes.
Yeah. And
if someone was funny when they die, we remember those moments quickly, rapidly, poignantly.
yes.
Right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And it's like, oh my gosh, they were pulling their last joke. Right?
And they might not be done.
They might. No, they're not done. Because, I'm with Heather and others. The people, Colleen, spirits stick around with us, right? But have I told you told the story of the parrot with hospice?
Tell the story.
We had a hospice family years ago where the grandma lived with the mom lived with the son and his wife. And there were other people. We called her grandma because she was the grandma to the family. And she sat in the sunroom every morning when everyone went to work with this African gray parrot who talked a lot. And when she was at her final years and she was teaching him things we didn't know she taught him. So the day she died, I was there and I was hanging with the family in the kitchen because that's, of course, where you hang. We're waiting for the mortuary. And the mortuary comes and I help a little bit with the family was preparing her for removal. And as she is being taken into care by the mortuary, literally going out the front door from the sunroom in the kitchen, comes her voice saying, help me, I'm dying. Don't you see me in here? It was her final gift to us. Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And that bird kept that up. The wife was like, I'm going to drown the bird. So, yeah. And that bird was still chirping when the son died, I think 10 years later when I was there. It was something. That bird was a don't teach those words to parrots, please.
Oh, that's funny. And I just want to point out, I just looked, it's 12:30, and that's what happens when you're laughing. Time shortens up. It does. It shortens, it passes the time. I don't know how that happens, but when you're laughing, it's almost like being in love. You know, when you're with somebody you don't want to be with, time drags on. When you're with people that can enlighten you, lighten you up, we laugh. We just like Susan said, we laugh so hard, we still do, about her family and her daughter. And you know, it passes time quickly. And that's sometimes what you want when time seems to drag on because you're hurting. And then
you
you're
got to
not.
make a little bit of room for fun and laughter.
It passes the time in the most delightful way, to quote Mary Poppins. It's like a spoonful of sugar.
Absolutely. It's what I'm doing when I send packages out to family members with stuff from my mom's estate. They get the stuff they're supposed to get, and then they get a little surprise. And one can never tell what Jill might tuck in there.
What is one thing you stuck in there?
My dad would buy my mom negligees that she would not wear. She didn't like them. She liked jammies. And so each of my sisters got boxes with negligees tucked in amongst all the precious memory stuff. And unbeknownst to each of them, they sent me pictures holding the negligees up saying, and what am I supposed to do with it? Like, that's on you. I couldn't throw it away. So now you get to figure it out. Right?
Oh, let's see what Susan, she goes, I wish you could have seen my daughter and I cleaning out Brittany's closet. Brittany was my youngest and she was 31 when she passed of cancer. I would pull out an item and ask her sisters, do you want this? And she would scream, oh my God, that's mine. I've been looking for that. It is funny.
It is. Now, if only my mom would show me where her wedding ring is, because the house is empty and we still haven't found it.
Oh.
You know, but we're going to laugh about that too. She gets to take one final secret with her.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the good news is I found her because I was sitting in church on Christmas Eve and I started laughing under my breath. And my daughter's like, Mom, what's wrong with you? I said, I just remembered, I can't remember where I put Grandma and Grandpa's last ashes because we kept a little back. Shh, don't tell the military. I put them in an urn. I couldn't remember where I put the urn. I tore that house apart that night. Yeah, I finally found them. They were in a box. Of course they were. I knew I wouldn't have lost them for good. But, you know, she was laughing in church and it was during Silent Night and people are looking at us. I'm thinking, this is our grief year. We can laugh if we want to during
That's
Silent
right.
Night.
You laugh whenever.
Grandma and Grandpa need to be found.
Yes. Oh, Jill, this has been pretty delightful today.
It has. Susan says, thank you so much for this. There are days that I feel guilty for laughing. God bless you both. Please folks, laugh, smile through the tears. It's okay. That's why we're here.
That's right. Thank you for sharing, Susan, and everybody else that was on today.
Thank you for all the conversation. We did. We are going to have a guest coming up. I'm still confirming the day. It's going to be with Amaret Kaufman. She's a therapist in the LA area, and she's going to talk about the loss that comes of being diagnosed with attention deficit issues and having to cope with that and having to function as someone who's not typical like the rest of the planet and all the things that go with that. And Deb's got some guests coming, and then we have a children's book author we're reaching out to as well to bring them on.
That's great. All right, everyone. Hey, if you're where I live, stay warm. If you're by Jill, what? Oh
And
yeah,
please
yeah,
stay warm. If you're anywhere where it's cold, don't take any risks. We're going to float this weekend. It's going to be 1 inch to 3 inches of rain in Southern California between now and Tuesday. So there we go. But we're not freezing, and I'm grateful.
yeah.
But if you're in the mountains in California, please don't forget, folks, we got to keep those gas lines and those water lines clear. Make sure that
Yeah.
you've dug them out, because we had explosions last time we did this. So
Yeah.
be safe, stay warm. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.